Welcome back to the Lotus Room for another installment of Tool Check, the place where you can hear thoughts about tools from someone who really does not know what they're talking about. Today, we are going to be continuing our look at some of the products in the Klein KNECT series. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Klein KNECT series, you can go ahead and click right there and look at my previous video where we looked at sort of we sort of introduced the Klein KNECT series and specifically looked at the Klein KNECT S series, which all of these are compatible with. But just as a quick review, in case you don't want to watch that video, which I just want you to know really hurts my feelings. It makes me feel real bad inside, and you should be ashamed of yourself. No, just kidding, not really. All right, so the Klein KNECT series is a family of impact-rated fastener driving products that are designed to have some level of interoperability among them. Specifically, we're looking at these 4 multi-bit drivers that are all compatible with the KNECT S series. Now, what is the KNECT S series? That specifically refers to these, right? So these sockets that roughly correspond to 1/4-inch drive sizes that are retained right there. This is a little different than a typical socket, utilizing what I call a 1/2-inch 12-point external drive, meaning that if you were to take, say, this 1/2-inch 12-point wrench and fit it in there, it fits perfectly and could be driven with that. And these sockets use a retaining ring to, come on, focus. Come on, focus. Are we going to focus? Are we not going to focus? All right, doesn't matter. It actually does matter, but it's fine. This that goes right in there, if you just, okay, yeah, to retain the sockets. So all of these multi-bit drivers are compatible with the Klein KNECT series, specifically the Klein KNECT S, meaning that all of them somewhere in here have that 12-point 1/2-inch external drive, right? And you can fit these sockets onto these, meaning that all of these are, you kind of think about these as just like upgraded versions of this, which is just like a very basic, hollow, somewhat pass-through screwdriver handle that's compatible with these sockets. All right, so we're going to go through all of these, the features of all of these, maybe some of the advantages, some of the disadvantages, try them out a little bit, and I'll give you my thoughts for which ones I think are worth it and what they excel the best at. And so without further ado, let's get into our first tool. All right, so first up, we're looking at the 10-in-1 impact-rated screwdriver / nut driver. Now, this is marketed as being a plumbing / HVAC tool. I wish I had kept the packaging, but it has the Klein little pipe symbol, and it also had like a snowflake / like heat waves symbol, so you know that it's plumbing and HVAC. So this is actually not sold at Lowe's. If you buy it at Lowe's, this isn't sold with all the other tools. You have to go back to the plumbing section where like the Klein pliers, wrenches are, and some other stuff. Just, you know, fun fact. But features of this thing. So if you look at the handle, it's about the same as the handle that comes with the KNECT S starter kit. It's the only real difference is I think just the stamping on the side. But the real star of the show, and the reason you got this is this center portion thing that fits in like this. Right, so it's double-sided, so each side has different capabilities. And I guess one of the capabilities is that this gets stuck in there all the time, which is totally a feature, not a bug. Ha 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 ha. So the way that this works is that it has this central kind of chuck bit holder thing. So this is a 1/2-inch hex bit with these kind of 2 little splined wing things on there that connect into these. You can kind of see the detent for that. Is where they go. This, I think, I'm not sure here, let's test it. I think some of these will fit like in the ratchet and some of them won't. I think this is one of the ones that doesn't. Yeah, so because of these kind of flanges that come out on the side, it actually doesn't fit in the pass-through ratchet, which, not that I would ever really do that, but it always kind of annoys me that things like don't fit in, and we'll see that some of the other ones do. But so each of these has on either end just a 1/4-inch, let's see if I can get that off, yeah, hex bit holder. So in addition to retaining the 2 pieces that it comes with, you can put any 1/4-inch hex shank device you want in there, meaning that this is just like a straight up 1/4 inch hex bit holder, which is really, really cool. So this is actually pretty versatile. But let's look at the things that it comes with. So on one side, it has one of these sort of spline / flanged connect drivers that you can put flip sockets on. And so it fits both of these, what they call deep well flip sockets, which that's a bit of a generous definition of a deep well socket. These are the size of about a normal socket, but you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself here. But they're not like these flip sockets that are a lot more shallow. These actually do have a little bit of depth to them. So it has one of these on one side with a 5/16 and an 11/32. Fun fact, you can buy sets of these in both metric and an SAE. The only one I've ever seen that has 11/32 is this one, and I think you have to buy it through this. So if that's like in your heart that you need like an 11/32 KNECT deep well socket, I'm afraid that this is the only way you're going to get it. So but that's on one side. And then on the other is this. So this has a lot of stuff. This really has this kind of a Russian nesting doll style of retention, as you'll see. So this is a 3/8 bit holder that connects to this other holder that's also a ball detent. So if you take this out, and then you can just drive 3/8 bolts, nuts, all that good business. And then each of these has a bit. So this one is double-sided, kind of a proprietary double-sided hex bit here that is ball detent, so there's no other form of retention on there. This one is just 2 different sized flat ends, which feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. I think you really just kind of need one. And then the other side is just a 1/4 inch magnet retained bit holder, meaning that this is kind of your more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not universal, but more versatile size. So you can just use this as your typical bit holder for your insert bits, and also put whatever extra one you want to carry with you. So those are its features, and the retention on this is really, really good. All of these are impact rated. Oh, this whole thing is impact rated, by the way. So if you had this on your impact driver, I don't know why I held like a gun. I was like, yeah, like your impact driver. Well, I don't know why I do that. I have one right here. You can drive, you know, like screws, right? And then take that off and then get your 3/8 bolts or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a discipline where you see 5/16, 3/8, and like 11/32 a lot. If that's you, if those are like the 3 that you use, comment below. I want to hear about it. I want to know why. Then I think this would be really, really useful. And in addition to all of those features, this is, of course, KNECT S compatible. So we can either put our KNECT S sockets directly in there. Sometimes the spring thing is a little difficult to overcome. So you can drive them like this. It's passed through all the way down to here, so it's not fully passed through because this does seal up. Or the way I would probably do it is by putting the extension on there, and then using this as our hollow drive nut driver. So that's pretty cool. So this kind of enhances the capabilities of our kind of more basic model. So that's interesting. Let's see. Does this retain about as well as the other one? Let's find out. Oh man, this thing just does not want to get on there. Okay, so let's see retention on that. That's good. That's pretty solid. Teeny bit of play, but nothing to really worry about. So that is this one. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to mention about this guy, and the reason I have this one, which goes to my ratcheting version, which we'll look at next, is there is also a version that if you don't care about this like flip socket thing, I just bought this because I didn't have it. They do make a version where this is the insert that goes into here like this. So this side is the same 3/8 double-sided thing, but the other side, instead of this double-sided flip socket, it's just a 5/16 with 2 more bits. We'll look at that in just a second, but just wanted to let you know that there is a version that's fixed and not ratcheting, which will be the next one, that has this on the inside. Its part number is right here, right there, assuming I can find it. And also, again, links everywhere. I mean, links, I got to stop saying that. Links below. Links below. Links everywhere is a different thing. All right, so let's take a look at our next tool. All right, next up is the 11-in-1 impact ratcheting driver. I'm pretty sure that's what the name is. I forgot to write down the exact name. Part number's right here. So this is really similar to the other one that we saw, but this one is ratcheting, which is really neat. And it's I think slightly, yeah, like ever so slightly longer than the typical one, but again has the same KNECT S external half-inch 12-point external drive. So this one is very similar to the other one. It has this this half-inch hex kind of chuck thing with the spline wings on the side and 2 1/4-inch hex shank retention guys. I don't know. I gotta think of what it's called. I can't. But we just saw this, so same thing. 3/8 nut driver with our double-sided flat bit. Our 1/4-inch insert bit holder, so we can put kind of anything we want in there. This one on our 5/16 nut driver has a Phillips number 1 on one side and a T25 Torx on the other. And then on this side, it has a square Robertson number 2 and a Robertson number 1. So it's got quite a few options from the get-go. And if you can find extra double-sided 1/4-inch bits, I'm sure they would fit right in there, which is kind of neat. But the ratcheting is really kind of the star of the show on this. You control the ratcheting by this collar kind of selector here. So that's one. The other, I don't, and it does have a lockout. Look at that. Actually, I've never used that before. Because I think using a lockout on like a ratcheting driver is kind of depressing. I don't know that I would ever do that because I think all drivers should be ratcheting drivers personally. But the ratcheting on this is very, very smooth. I have oiled this a little bit, but it's good. Pretty low back drag, I would say. I don't have any scientific way of verifying that, but that's fairly low back drag. At least it feels nice. So yeah, the ratcheting on this is a little bit different than other ratcheting screwdrivers. So if you were to look at the 13-in-1, you'll note that the only thing that's moving while it's ratcheting is just the shank. Now, this is a great ratcheting screwdriver. I love it to death. But what's unique about this is that sort of this whole thing goes. I tried to get it on camera, you really can't see it, but basically this whole top head is what's rotating and is what's ratcheting. And there's a sort of barrel of metal that goes all the way down to here that's moving. So I don't know why, but that's, you know, that is what's happening. But if we were to take this and just show you, we're trying to take this this little Phillips screw out here. You know, like a typical ratchet screwdriver, but once we get it, this screws in here really loose, so the back drag is too much to where it won't go. You can just kind of grab this right here with your fingers and spin, and it's just really comfortable because of the knurling and that acetate handle. You can really get a great grip on there, and this allows for kind of a really good one-handed operation of the screwdriver, so you can get them started relatively easily just with your fingers. And then, you know, you got it. So yeah, the ratcheting on this is really, really good. And like the other one, this is just a typical 1/4-inch hex shank holder. So if you wanted to just put, say, like a 1/4-inch bit holder on there and use this like that, you can, or use a long screwdriver bit. It's kind of something I really like to do. The retention on this is fabulous. And so this can be converted or just really used as a regular ratcheting screwdriver. So anyway, and then like the other ones, it is also, we can just take all this out, and then it is compatible with the Klein KNECT series of sockets. And so now you have pass through all the way to the handle, ratcheting nut driver. So that's really, really cool. So pretty interesting. All right, let's look at the next one. All right, next up is this little guy. This is the Impact Stubby Ratchet. Again, I forgot to get the exact name, but I'll put it right here along with the part number right here. So this is really similar to the last ratcheting driver that we saw, except for this is in a stubby configuration. So it still has that ratcheting where kind of the whole barrel up here moves, which is pretty sweet. It has the same sort of collar selector here. That's pretty neat, but everything is just sort of like miniaturized. We've got our half-inch drive chuck in the middle here. Come on. It retains really, really good. But you'll note this one doesn't really have the splines on it. It just has these things. And this is actually a little bit smaller than the other ones. So if we were to compare this to one of the others, you'll note that this is just a little bit, it has a little more clearance so that kind of everything fits into the handle of the stubby driver. On one side it has a 1/4 inch nut driver, and then on the other it has a 5/16. Each side has a proprietary double-sided bit. This one has a flathead and a, looks like a Phillips number 1 by my eye. I'm actually not 100% sure. And then on the other side, I think that's a Phillips 2 and another flathead. And this is just, man, when you look at that, I've never seen like a double-sided 5/16 hex shank bit. Very proprietary. That's a thick boy. I mean, let's compare that to a typical. Where'd we go? Here's our normal. Oh man, there it is. Right, like compared to like that normal 1/4 inch bit, that's like wider this way than it is this way. Not quite, but this also, these are 1/4 inch hex holders. But you'll note that they have this kind of weird texture on them for this to kind of maximize the retention. This uses like kind of like some spring clips. So while it does retain sort of anything, the retention is not terribly, well, it's pretty strong. Yeah, okay, well it did it really good once, and then not as good that time. So you can use this just as like a regular ratcheting screwdriver for anything you want to put in there. That's fine. The retention is not quite as pleasing as it is on the other ones. But yeah, the ratcheting is very, very smooth. And like the others, this is compatible with our KNECT S things. So this can give us like a stubby nut driver that is ratcheting. So that's cool. Hollow from here all the way down to here. And I will say, for whatever reason, the retention on this one is the best around the 1/2 inch external drive. And so you can just put these directly in here, which is nice. So we got kind of like a stubby ratcheting nut driver. So yeah, I think that's all the features on this guy. Let's move on to our last tool. All right, so last up here we have the KNECT 17-in-1 impact rated hybrid screwdriver. So this one is a little bit different than the other ones. Now it still has our 1/2 inch 12-point external drive here, so it's compatible with Klein KNECT S. But you'll note that this one has some of the flip sockets on here and some slightly different ones. So we'll look at these. So typically for SAE flip sockets, you'll get the 1/4 inch and the 5/16 version. You'll note that this one is a dedicated screwdriver bit and a 1/4 inch. So that's just slightly different, which is interesting. The retention, by the way, is very, very good. But you'll note that one feature of all of these 1/4 inch sized flip sockets is that they can be kind of pulled up. You get this on there. There we go. If this gets pulled up halfway, oh, maybe this one doesn't do it. Okay, so this one doesn't do it. Normally, you'll feel a click, and you can use this as the bit holder, but the dedicated one does not do that. Sorry, I'm just learning this right now. On the fly, we're learning. So like here's like our typical 1/4 inch bit holder. If you pull it up, you'll hear like a click. Yep, hear that? Let's see if we can hear it. Yep, you hear a little click. And now you can use this as a 1/4 inch bit driver. But I guess this This dedicated screwdriver version, screwdriver bit, does not have that feature, which makes sense because, you know, otherwise why have it? But so we've got our insert bit holder here, 1/4 inch driver, a 5/16, and a 3/8 flip socket that to access, we just pull this off and then fling that across the room. Let's go ahead and fling that all the way across the room. Go ahead and throw that, and then you can pull it off. This is really stupid. All right, and then you know, you can drive whatever you're doing. This also has these 1/2 inch drive, or sorry, 1/2 inch hex chucks that are these 1/4 inch hex adapters. However, this one is a little bit different because this one has a whole bunch of bit storage in the bottom. It can hold, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2 is 10. Math, everybody. So this holds 10 of these bits of just regular 1 inch, 1/4 inch hex insert bits. These are all ProFlex bits, which is great. These are excellent. They have really good fitment, and they're all impact rated. And if we were to take this chuck out, because this handle is not hollow because, you know, of the bit carousel, instead of it having another one of these, so that instead of another 1/4 inch hex adapter, it has a 3/8 square adapter on it. So if you pull the whole thing out, it looks like this. Now, so in order to use that, you would have to take this off and then put this on. Now, sometimes when this goes on there, it's pretty hard to get off. That time was not too bad, but sometimes when this gets in there, I have to use pliers to get it out. It's kind of crazy. But what might one use this for? Well, anything that you have 3/8 sockets for. So I think that they just kind of brainstormed and put whatever they could on there because they couldn't put the full double-sided one, didn't want to leave it blank. So I'd rather have that than not have it. And then, of course, this one has a slightly different. You'll note that the external drive here is flush with the top of the screwdriver, whereas this one sticks out just a little bit. Right, the collet's a little bit higher. Again, probably to give more clearance because the handle on this isn't hollow. But the retention, as a result of that, is just a little more wobbly. Because of the bit carousel, that means that the pass-through only goes down to here. That's not really the end of the world, but if you are trying to get this onto like some really long all-thread or something like that, this probably can't handle that. So those are all of the features of all of our 4 multi-bit drivers. Now let's talk about my thoughts about these and which ones I think are best. All right, so here are our 4-bit drivers. Let's go through my thoughts about each of these. Try to do this kind of quick, otherwise this video is going to take like a million years. But first up, the 10-in-1. All right, so this one is good. This one is kind of the more basic model, I would say. It just gives you this internal piece here, which allows you to carry some additional things that you otherwise couldn't with just the default screwdriver handle here. This feels a little bit contextual. I'm not sure that I would need to just dedicatedly carry a 5/16 and 11/32 and a 3/8. But if that is for you, then this is really, really handy. This, for what it is really good. And I think that this has better bit retention and works better as just kind of like a basic 1/4 inch insert bit driver than kind of putting that whole thing together, like using the bit driver on this. So this is definitely an upgrade, a little bit contextual, but I think this one is good, right? So I would give this one a passing grade. All right, so that one's good. Okay, let's go on to this, the ratchet. That's not the ratchet. This is the ratchet. Okay, so this thing is awesome. Again, I don't really understand what situation I would need this exact configuration of tools, like when I would need a 3/8 driver and a 5/16 and all the bits that are in here to want to just carry these all together at once. I'm sure there's a discipline out there where this makes absolute perfect sense. But in fact, if it does to you, sound off in the comments. Let me know all about it. But that's cool. But I think just as a ratcheting screwdriver, this thing is awesome. The ratcheting is really good. Being able to get the grip up here is really, really nice. And the retention on this is so good that you can just, put whatever you want in here. So it might look a little bit goofy, but if you put these long screwdriver bits in, I've used that. That works really good. If you wanted to put like just an insert bit in here, like this nice Vera, that's definitely an option. Really, just anything to your heart's content. Slap a here. Let's get the railer accessory thing out here. If you put like a 2-inch bit on here, it's kind of more of a stubby or kind of a smaller thing. Or if you wanted to put like a long 1/4-inch square thing in there and drive regular sockets with that, which does feel a little bit redundant because you do have this. But just in general, in and of itself, I think this is worth buying as just a ratcheting screwdriver, because I think the ratcheting is so nice, and the being able to grab that is so good. And it being able to be a hollow drive ratcheting nut driver is really, really cool. So this thing is really neat. This is probably my favorite of the bunch, and is really great. So that 100% gets a pass. It's very, very good. I love it. Okay, so for the stubby ratcheting guy, this one is interesting. If, again, just kind of like the other ones, if this set of, come on, get out of there. If this set of like fastening solutions, so like having just like a flathead and a Phillips, a 5/16 and a 1/4-inch is like your jam, and it being on a stubby ratchet is like just makes sense to you, then get it. But this one makes kind of the least sense to me. I will say the one context that I think that this would excel at, if you need it, is if you need to hand drive bolts and nuts and stuff in like a small environment where you need like you don't have a lot of clearance. This is great, right? So this is like, in fact, this is the only like stubby nut driver I can think of on the market, especially one that's like hollow, right? So the pass-through goes down to here. Now that's not a ton, but that's better than a lot of stuff. Like with the flips, the regular, like these flip sockets, like you get no clearance unless you're working with like a flanged bolt or a nut that just goes right up to the threading of the bolt and doesn't extend very far. You're not going to be able to use these. Now these are still great, but that is their kind of limitation. Whereas with this, you could, by hand, kind of get into some like really tight places and drive stuff. So this, I think, in and of itself, like just with all of this stuff, is fine. It's useful. You can put like I said before, just 1/4-inch hex shank things on there, but the retention is kind of, it's weird. It bounces around a lot. You see it's doing that. It's kind of, just kind of, sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not great, and it just, but the ratcheting is actually really good. So I don't know. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. What am I doing? It's fine, but but I think where this excels is as a like low profile ratcheting hand nut driver. So this my least favorite. They're all going to get a pass. I'm just going to spoil the video. This passes, but with the most caveats. All right, last but not least, this guy. So this one I think is interesting. I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's interesting. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. Anyway, but sorry, I'm being weird. So this one is definitely the most unique out of all of these because it has the least degree of like pass-through capabilities other than the ratchet, but that's not its fault. It's just because it's short. Like this is hollow all the way down to here. This is only hollow down to about there, right? So you're not you're not getting as much pass-through capability. But the trade-off is that you get just a lot of bit storage. So where I think this excels is that if you wanted to use this as your service kit and this is the primary bit driver, and you need to carry a lot of bits, this is your guy, right? This is a great carousel. The retention on it is really good, and even if these aren't the right bits, you can buy whatever you want, slap them in there, and you got it. If you don't need to drive these too far by hand onto like thread or whatever, I think this is really, really good. So this as an accompaniment to this guy, I think is really outstanding. All right, but I will say there's one kind of obvious upgrade to this, and it would be to just, if I was to carry that around with me, I would put these on there, right? I would just get a set of normal flip sockets, because you're just gonna get a whole lot more options than this. And like I said before, if you have a 1/4 inch flip socket up top, you can use that as your bit retainer. And I think it works just fine. So this feels like kind of an obvious upgrade because you can't store these in the handle anyway. Now, if you want to do metric, can you still use the 7mm as a manual bit driver? And the answer is kind of yeah. It does do the click up thing, and 7mm is a little bit bigger than like 1/4 inch. But honestly, the 7mm, there's a little bit of play, but you can still kind of use that as a 1/4 inch bit driver. I might not put in the impact like that, but it still does work. So I think putting like your flip sockets on here and carrying that around would be kind of just the obvious upgrade to make this just a little bit better. Fun fact about these flip sockets, small aside, I bought these sort of on a whim. I mostly use these metric ones because it's kind of in my compact toolkit. But I noticed these at Lowe's had an 11/32 flip socket, which I thought was, which is really cool, and it's not focusing. Is it going to focus? It's not going to focus. Oh, get this camera some Adderall. Okay, yeah. So you can see this is like an 11/32, which is sort of rare. God, will this thing please focus? All right. Well, anyway, that was really annoying. So there's 11. All I'm trying to say is that there's an 11/32 flip socket, and most of these aren't like that. I'll put a picture that I took if I can find it of these side by side. Otherwise, I'll just find a screenshot. But just if you need an 11/32 flip socket, there is this version of the SAE one. So that's kind of cool. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for our look at these Klein KNECT S compatible multi-bit drivers. Hopefully you had fun. Hope you learned something. Next time we might be taking a look at the KNECT M series. So it's a little preview for you. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube business. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see some of my culinary adventures and other projects. And I will see you guys on the next video.